It's now my pleasure to interact with a very respected official of the Karnataka Fire and Emergency Services. He's a senior officer in the Indian Police Service. He's a tech-savvy police officer who used social media very effectively during his tenure as the Police Commissioner of Bengaluru. He has many years of experience in traffic policing, traffic management, and road safety. And he is here with us this evening. He's the Director General of Police, Karnataka Fire and Emergency Services, Mr. M.N. Reddi. Please welcome Mr. M.N. Reddi. So our topic for today is fire safety and the need for citizen awareness. And my first question to you is, in the last 7 years since the Carlton fire accident, what are the biggest changes that you have observed?
Well, in terms of compliance or in terms of the magnitude of the problem?
Why not both, sir?
Yeah, so let's say first the bad news. The bad news is that the magnitude of the problem has increased, right? Because we seem to be having thousands of buildings which are technically high-rise because they're above 15 meters, but they don't follow any fire norms because they have violated the building sanction plan where they were allowed to build only up to 15 meters. They've crossed it. They've probably taken an occupancy certificate for up to that level, and the rest is left to God. So we have a high-rise building, or we have thousands of high-rise buildings that at this point of time do not have fire safety norms followed. They never came to the fire department because they were not intended to be high-rise buildings. The good news is that because of beyond Carlton, the very unfortunate incident, but the movement that started, they worked with us and then it went up to the higher judiciary, and we have 2011 judgment which is very stringent about fire safety and which have introduced what's called annual inspection system or biannual inspection system, which means every 2 years high-rise buildings have got to be re-inspected by the fire department and they must be certified to be safe. So it is very much work in progress. But I think going forward, I am hopeful that we will have a much better, much safer, much more fire-safe Bangalore between 5 to 10 years from now than what we are today.
Thank you, sir. There are hundreds of fire accidents across the state every year, and your department must be collecting a lot of information around these accidents. What are you doing to communicate about these with the public and make them more aware?
So we have conventional methods of awareness programs, classroom discussions, drills and lectures, etc. But we are also on social media fairly prominently. So both our Facebook as well as our Twitter is fairly well followed, I must say. About 20,000 people follow our. We are not as popular as the city police, where about 1 million people follow them. Probably people need to be in touch with police more often than they need to be in touch with the fire officer. It's also a feeling that, and I can say it with authority because I started from day zero, it grew to now where it is in city police. I think people like to be friends with police, which is a good thing. They also think that it kabhi bhi kaam aayega, if you can tweet a cop. It's always helpful to know a cop, So it's good, it's healthy. But I think we are, let's say, a year or two compared to what we were before. I think we are more heading in that direction of making our message closer to people. Maybe we need to go a little more deeper or wider in terms of, let's say, good advertisement in the theatres, where people are actually committed audience, captive audience, so large number of theatres and pamphlets, a whole lot of other social media activities, etc. I think there's a way forward. I'll come to that. What's our plan for the next 5 years at the end of the conversation?
Sure. Thank you. You know, Nitin pointed out in his talk earlier, and I have it in my notes here as well, that the department is understaffed as compared to the number of staff you've been, allotted to have. So what steps have been taken to fill these vacancies and to highlight the importance of this to the ministry?
So I think that problem is being addressed. We have just about recently, as to, what is it? 1,400 men have been recruited in the last 1.5 years, which is a sudden jump.
Congratulations.
There was a lull between 2008 and 2014 or 15 for almost about 7 years. But then we picked it up. I think we'll fill 100% in the coming year and a half or so. So we'll be 100% full.
Thank you. Now, Bengaluru is the technology capital and the startup capital of the country. Has your department been able to use technology for the cause of fire safety? If not, what are the challenges that stand in your way?
Well, I think, I'm very proud to say that our fire force was the first to introduce the miniaturized firefighting systems in India, which we learned and which we imported from outside, and it's become a norm. That's called water mist technology, which deals with the problem of transporting or being available or having water available where we need, because it helps to utilize water of X amount multiplied by 10 times compared to just that much that you use in normal technology. So the water mist technology we were the first to use, and we continue to use widespread. Introducing newer technologies is going to be the major area of emphasis in the coming 5 years. Apart from miniaturization, we are also looking at developing a state-of-the-art management center, emergency management center, which will be like our traffic management center, which will be the nerve center for controlling and commanding the forces and disseminating information, collecting information. Eventually, I do foresee that all the high-rise buildings will be connected to this center. So anything that happens, there will be sensors, and anything that happens in a building will automatically be reflected here. There will be drones that we use for situational awareness, which will give an aerial view of the problem, to define the problem. For a fire officer to visualize standing on ground or visualize based on a command center is going to be much more different. So I think there are many things exciting things will happen.
I think all those sound like very, very exciting ideas. And now coming back to Beyond Carlton, what do you think is the role of citizen initiatives such as Beyond Carlton?
Well, I must say that this is one department this is one service where the community association or involving the community cannot be overemphasized. Because you cannot have a firefighter at the time of fire, at any point of time. You will always have them reaching only later. And the thing about fire is that the longer you take, the larger it becomes and more impossible to control, right? So, taking Beyond Carlton itself, if there were certain things that we were doing, like drills, for example, his point is very well taken. I think we must implement. One a day is very difficult. One a week, I'd be most happy. If my stations can do one a week, we are going to have 200 fire drills per week in the state, right? And we can do more in Bangalore, because that's where the problem is. On the high rises, I have a different view. Anyway, that is from safety standpoint. But coming back to the involvement of community, so I think is that the last point? No. Okay, if that's the last point, then I'll just try to kind of join up with our vision for the next 5 years. We have, in the year 2005, we launched a program called K-Safe, Karnataka State Accelerated Fire and Emergency Services Improvement Project. It was basically to reach the unreached areas of the state. So at that point of time, we had only 96 fire stations. And we had covered only about 70 and odd fire talukas in the a state which has 170 talukas. As we speak today, we have covered all the talukas in the last 10 years. We spent nearly 230 or 250 crores in the last 10 years. It was meant to be a 5-year program, but it got extended to 10 years. It's just coterminous with my having been there at that time and my coming back now again. So we have taken this opportunity. So we have launched, hoping to launch. I can't promise now because the budget is around the corner. We are proposing to the government for another next 5-year plan called KSAFE 2. Now KSAFE 2 will concentrate not on coverage, because we've already done the coverage, but it's on the efficiency of the manpower that we have got. Trust me, we would have something in the region, in the normal course in the coming 5 years, about 10,000 firemen in the state. But we also have about 50,000, we'll also have about 50,000 home guards. We'll also have about 20,000 civil defense volunteers. We'll also have potentially maybe about 5 to 10,000 fire wardens. And just imagine every security guard, if he is fire safe conscious, and if he has learned the basics of fire safety, you will have 1 million fire safety men. So therefore, my view is that if we can empower and facilitate the community, and particularly the chosen people of the community, like every high-rise building should have a fire officer, fire staff, that kind of a thing, volunteers, every floor to have a floor fire officer, fire volunteer, and every hospital, etc. So you would really not need as many firemen as we think we need. I'm not saying that we don't need more, but we will have difficulties in recruiting more and more people because it will weigh down on government in terms of salaries, in terms of expectations, compensations and all that. In spite of that, I would say that we would be around 10,000 in the coming 5 years. And I would say that working with the community, we should be in a much better position to deal with the situation. That is as far as the numbers are concerned. But more importantly, what we are looking at is to equip our men into very powerful rescuers. Please understand that every fireman is expected to be a master of all and jack of none, master of all trades. Let's say if there is a collapse, he should rescue you from under the rubble. If there is a fire, of course he must rescue you from the fire. If there is an accident and you are trapped in a vehicle, he must extricate you from the vehicle. If you are stuck in a flood situation, he must rescue you from a flood. If you are in a hazardous material transport circumstance, he must wear those masks and he must come and help you out of those gaseous places, etc. If you are trapped in any other place, he should rescue you. So there are probably 10 to 12 or 15 types of skills that each of our firemen must become a master in and not a jack at. Because you don't want to risk your life with a jack of all trades and master of none, really. So if you're under the rubble, you want professional firemen and rescuers to come and take you out. God willing, he should get you out. But if he's going to be trying his skills at you, he's actually playing with your life. So our focus in the coming 5 years will be to actually establish centers of excellence and training centers at a large number of locations in the state. And we would train every single person. We would like to actually drill them into becoming much better, competent firefighters and rescuers than what they are today. In the process, they must also slim down, they must become fit, they must become more muscular. Firemen in the US, etc., is the most idealized person. A firefighter is more idealized than a policeman there. And he is the man who can climb 40 floors. He is the man who can bring you down all the way, 40 floors. If you know the 9/11 story, the entire fire brigade chief and a large number of people died under the collapsing structure because they were staging rescue right under the building. It's a different matter. The situationally, they didn't realize it was going to come down. But you had the fire chief of Mumbai fire brigade, which is a big man, an entire hierarchy of 4 or 5 people just 2 years ago died in a collapse of a building. Typically what happens is that fires tend to weaken the buildings, and our firefighters throw a lot of water So there's a collateral weight increase in the structure, and often structures tend to collapse. Firefighters are expected to know that. While saving you, they must also save themselves. So I feel that we must focus on two things. One, on making each and every fireman into a powerful, capable, multi-hazard first responder. Agile and smart, not just rushing into I've seen sometimes our boys just rush into a place, but you've got to be smart. There's no point you're going and getting crushed yourself. You're there to help others. So I feel that if we can concentrate on developing skills and capacity in these 10,000 people, we would be equal to have 25,000 people. B, surround ourselves with active community participants and volunteers and train them as well so that they are able to deal with the immediate situation that could arise in the whenever there's a disaster or an incident. So as we go forward under KSAFE 2, what we are proposing is, I only hope that I get the money that I ask for, because governments don't always have the money that everybody asks for, because they have to apportion the revenues accordingly. But we're trying to impress on the government that fire safety and rescue is paramount, because more and more disasters are taking place. Climate change is also influencing disaster frequency. And urbanization, industrialization, and given the fact that what Nitin said, that in terms of our own overall mindset of not being safety conscious, is also adding to risk. If you don't believe in re-inspecting your building, then you are actually living in a building that's not safe. So therefore, the frequency is going to be high. So our aim should be to seriously build capacity in these people. Make them smart, agile, and capable so that they can build the confidence of the community, and also encourage civil defense volunteers, fire wardens organization, student association for fire safety, home guards, etc., and security guards, for example. They are an ideal set of people who can be first responders, because they're actually on the job. In any case, they're also taught some basics. So my view is that going forward, we will be focusing on community, capacity, and of course with technology, leading the way to make our state and our cities hopefully safer.
Thank you so much. Congratulations first on the successful rollout of KSAFE. I think KSAFE 2 sounds very, very exciting, because it sounds like it's a much more of an integrated approach, and one that will require a lot more engagement from the citizens themselves too. So all the best with that.
We will share the KSAFE 2 document soon on our website, and also I'll pass it on. I have asked Uday to be actively involved actually. I request Nitin, please take a look at it as well, yourself as well. I mean, as many people as possible. We'll put it on the public domain. So give your ideas to us, add, delete, so that we can make it more comprehensive.
Thank you very much for your very passionate and visionary words. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you.